Welcome, Nicole. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm very well. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me. I'm a big fan, as you know, and you've helped me massively over the past couple of years, and it's an absolute honour to have you on my wee show.
Well, I'm proud of you for starting it.
Um, yeah, you do some incredible things about getting people out of their comfort zone. And if nobody really knows, do you want to plug your channel and it's your alchemy, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got my YouTube channel and then I've got my
Yep.
alchemy program that is for anyone who's looking for like-minded souls who are on this kind of awakening journey, trying to
Yep.
understand what they're going through, and not really sure who to talk to because I know people feel very limited in who they can share their experiences with, and everyone in the group is super supportive. It's become quite a
Yep.
bit of a family. So yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a group that you've got together, and there's never any animosity. There's lots of people, not just yourself, but everybody's got an experience, and they're always trying to help. And to know the way the digital world works, to use it for benevolent reasons, must be really messing things up with the powers that be, so to speak. And you're definitely doing that amongst others, so it's great to see.
Well, I think we're in this battle of duality here, and I hate to call it a battle because truly it's just a reflection of, I guess, the battles going on within each and every one of us.
Yeah,
But yeah, like it's kind of forcing us all to step up our game. So in some ways it's very beneficial. Unfortunately, it comes through uh circumstances that a lot of us wish weren't the case. But as a human race, we tend not to change or be motivated to change until things get really uncomfortable. So
would that be your take then? That whether let's not call them sheep or anything like that. It's more unawakened. Do you believe we're now in the present time that they need to face trauma? They need to face their shadow work, whether they like it or not. Do you think we're in a place now that they've got to face it no matter what?
well, yeah, I don't like to call those who are not as awakened yet
Yeah,
to what's going on as sheep because it's derogatory, and all it does is create more division. No one's going to
yeah,
want to hear your message if you're putting them down.
yep,
So yeah, but I feel like like I did this video yesterday on the underground awakening, and I
yeah,
feel that yeah, there is an awakening in process, but the awakening always starts as the underground awakening.
yeah,
And a lot of us don't even realize that we're going through some kind of awakening until we're somewhat already through part of it.
yeah,
It's a very, in many ways, because we're so wrapped up in illusions that we believe are true, the very truth that's trying to come up, it's in direct conflict with what we believe is true, and so
yeah,
we ignore it, and we tend to not give it as much credence and not as much power.
yeah,
So I think that many people are being, I mean, and I don't think, and I think this goes for even those who would consider themselves more awakened. All
yep,
of us are going through deep shadow work. There isn't
yep.
anyone who shouldn't be going through their own deep
No,
shadow work.
no,
if you're
that's
if you're
agreed.
not yeah, if you're not, you're in avoidance and you're certainly
Yeah,
not helping.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. I've had a bit since the 1st of September, so this is helping a degree. Getting out and putting myself in uncomfortable, or not uncomfortable situations, but positions of growth. And my shadow work is deep shadow shit for everything that I deal with. But you're right. There's no getting away from it. Whether you're awakened, slightly awakened, unawakened, it's right in front of you.
If you are avoiding it, things are just going to get a lot tougher.
Yeah.
and things are going to start falling apart at rapid speeds before your eyes. Things that you don't want to fall apart, because you're refusing to see that they're not really good for you anymore. You're
Yeah.
not, you're refusing to see that this isn't working. And so a lot of people will struggle with that because they're in denial. They're in
Yeah.
denial of doing that. And a lot of people are scared. Of course, it's
Yeah.
natural. It's a very scary process to go into all the places you've been running from since
Yeah.
oftentimes your childhood. And we've been programmed to believe like it's not that important, or like it's not that big of a deal, which is of course the work of the ego. The
Yep.
ego doesn't want you to go there, so the ego
Yeah.
always tell you it's not a big deal, like so
Yeah.
what, so that happened, come on, you're over it.
Yeah. Do you know when I remember when I kind of first awakened, you do grow a spiritual ego whether you like to admit it or not, and you think, this is great, I've not reacted to this certain thing, that certain thing. And then the universe has a nice way of grounding you, let's call it, or leg sweeping me, and then hitting me with a concrete block, and taking me
I
back
like to
down again.
I like to call it the cosmic 2x4.
Yeah,
I
it
think we all get hit by the cosmic 2x4 when we're avoiding too much, and now it's just you can't avoid it anymore.
no, it does feel like it's constant. Maybe before it would maybe be, I don't know if you wanted to put time on it, it's maybe once a week. But I definitely feel that I'm being punched, stupid, or hit by the cosmic 4x2 daily. But it's just it's stuff, and I think the childhood one that you said is a great shout. I had a session with Anita Napier, and what came out of that, there was always something at the back of my mind about it, but it was always something I kind of knew, so it wasn't a shock, and she done some incredible work, the way, much like yourself, the compassion, the empathy, there's, to have somebody to do that, that you don't really know what somebody is like to not judge until you're in a situation where you're hearing stuff for the first time and the person that's bringing it out of you doesn't change. There's no shock, there's no I feel uncomfortable, it's the set tone, and I'll always be thankful, blessed actually, for that session with her. But you're right, a lot of my trouble came from not just that experience, but stuff that I remember from childhood. That kind of the bullies, the relationship with my father, my brother, and confronting that isn't easy.
No.
Do you have any tips for dealing with childhood trauma?
Oh boy. Well, one of the first things you really want to do is when you're tackling your childhood trauma is to reconnect with your inner child,
Yeah,
because, like I had mentioned earlier, our ego wants to diminish the experience that we had as a child as not a big deal from the adult perspective.
right.
And that is not the case. We have to always, when we're doing our healing from childhood, have to see that experience through the eyes of our inner child, which means we don't have the same levels of consciousness that we do today. We don't have all of the wisdom that we do today. We don't have all of the tools to move through it that we have today. And so when we're dealing with that childhood trauma, we have to come into a place of deep compassion,
Yeah,
like a very loving parent would for their own child.
yeah,
And it requires a lot of vulnerability. It requires a safe place for you to explore that. So if you're not feeling safe to explore it, whether you're doing it on your own or perhaps with some kind of coach or
yeah,
therapist or something like that, it can become quite difficult. And I think one of the biggest blocks that people have is they're really scared about what they're going to see. They're
yeah,
really scared about what they're going to remember. And one of the things that someone's told me before that I always try to keep in mind is that, well, you've already lived it. It's nothing you haven't seen already.
wow,
And it's true. So
yeah,
like we have to kind of just put a little bit of logic around it as well, like just
Okay.
to kind of calm the emotions down, calm some of the fear and the judgment. But yeah, like those are important things to remember when going into your childhood.
Wow, that's incredible. I never looked on it that way. That we've already endured it, we've already experienced it. So it, wow, I'm taken aback a wee bit actually because you've really caught me off guard. In a good way. Yeah. I'm a bit emotional. Yeah, I wanted to do this in a a kind of chat, a spontaneous, see where it goes. And yeah, you bugger. No, you weren't meant to catch me out. That wasn't fair. Okay, so tell me about when what did you used to do before you awakened?
Oh, well, I mean, I've always kind of been awake through my
Wow.
entire time working because I started to awaken at 17. So I started off as a massage therapist
Yeah.
when I was 23 and worked as a massage therapist for, gosh, 15 years.
Right.
And before I started to transition out of that and into what I am now. But during that time, I also got my yoga teacher's training. I was doing personal training. I was doing live blood analysis. I took some courses on analyzing live blood cells with like a dark field microscope so I could understand the nutrition aspect from a cellular level, like actually seeing how the blood looks in the cells.
Right.
And that's been really helpful for me in understanding, like, just I'm a very visual person. So when I
Yeah.
go to heal my body, because I already know what it looks like on the inside, I've seen it moving, how it interacts, all the cells interact with one another. It's been very powerful for me to be able to go in and start creating the healing just from how I saw how the body works.
Yeah.
So I did all that and I got my Reiki one in
Yep.
my early 20s. And so I've been working in that field in of service to others, but working more with the
Yeah.
physical body, which is why I have, I think, so much respect for the physical body, which I
Yeah.
think gets lost in this journey when we're
Yeah.
trying to tune into the field, the quantum field, that we forget that it's the whole point is to interact with it so that we can funnel everything
Yeah.
through the body. But yeah, so I've always been interested in alternative health. I had a
Yeah.
naturopath at the age of 20 who
Jeez.
did live cell sorry she did what is it called, past life regression.
Yeah.
She did tapping. She used all these different oils, applied kinesiology, which is muscle testing, dolphin brain repatterning. She taught me how to work with light through my breath to move energy through my body. So I got all that at the age of 20, so
Did you party at all? Come on.
so I've been kind of
That's
working with this
impressive.
stuff for 25 years. Yeah, but I mean,
Wow.
here's the thing though, and this is important for everyone to understand. I started awakening at 17,
Yeah.
but I had moments where I would relapse back into what a lot of people would call wounded living or
Uh,
3D living. And so, where I would kind of steer away from it, and I would still obviously be doing my work and wanting to help others, but I was going through my own wounds and I had
yeah.
my own stuff coming up. So I got into drinking in my 20s heavily, bartending scene. I lived in a big city and I just went through a very debaucherous 20s and even early 30s to some degree as well. But
Yeah.
really, my 20s were very debaucherous. And at the same time, while all that's happening, I'm kind of meditating, I'm doing my Reiki, and I'm like, these are two very polar
Yeah.
experiences,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Yeah.
why it's so important to not judge anyone's awakening process
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's going to be individual, and there are going to be some things that we might want to see, but then there's going to be other things like just don't want to see. There are things
Yeah,
that we're still so tied and attached to that we're afraid that if we give it up, we're like giving up like our fun, or we're giving up like parts of
yeah,
ourselves. And there's always going to be some relapse at some point. Like
yeah,
you'll take like 5 steps forward, but then you might take 3 steps back, and then
yeah,
you'll take another 5 steps forward and maybe like 3 steps back. And so we have to be able to hold space for people to go through their journey at the pace that they're going, in all the different ways that it's going to reveal itself.
yeah,
And there is no right or wrong way to do it. It's just it's going to be individual.
yeah. That's great. And one of the things that I'm trying to do, I mean, you guys, you know, I mean, that's an incredible journey to think that you were aware or starting to awaken at 17. That's. I mean, I was about 2012, and I think I've been at it a while, but that's crazy. But it it's what you would call average people. You know, to awaken to what's happening, you don't need to be special. You know that. You know how the way it's portrayed sometimes. You know, you're maybe a starseed, and what you know they try to find out what planet maybe incarnated from, or stuff. But to hear your journey and the likes of Tyler and Arns as well, is that there's all that debauchery involved, and I've had it myself. So it's just trying to get across to people that it can be anybody. It can be somebody that's had a hard life with drinking and drugs, or it could be somebody that's had a pure life. It could be a 17-year-old, or it could be somebody at 67. You know, and your clients must range from that age group as well.
All ranges.
Yeah.
I have teenagers all the way up to 70s, even
Wow.
actually even 80s.
Wow. I love
So
that. Yeah, I love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a whole range. And you're right, like it can happen at any time. And there oh gosh, we orchestrate so much into our own soul's journey that it's very hard for us to comprehend from this kind of linear understanding that we think a journey is supposed to unfold as. And it ends up taking a lot of twists and turns, and it doesn't move linear. It
Yeah.
moves like in very abstract ways. And so which I think is part of the fun in many ways, because you don't exactly know what's always coming, and
Yeah.
it keeps things interesting.
Yeah. My moments of clarity are blow me away. Really do. Like, you know, it's almost like a mini awakening when I realise something with absolute clarity, and then I get foggy again. You know, and it's not devolving back to old ways. You know, I still smoke, but I don't drink. I have the odd can of cola as well, but I eat well enough. I eat vitamins. I train. I meditate. But I get caught sometimes when I think I do all these things, but I still get hit with the fogginess. I still get hit with, you know, almost manifesting pain in my body. And it's not until it gets too intense will I then sit and try and deal with it. So it's almost like the universe telling me, you've got to deal with this. You know, you keep, like you said, if you keep ignoring it, it'll come back in ways that you can't function. So mine would manifest as pain, which which is always quite interesting, especially the places it appears. Um, you're in Canada, Nicole, yeah?
Um, Sometimes.
Sometimes, sometimes. The reason I'm asking is, what's it like from somebody I trust and somebody I know is honest, rather than what you get through, you know, the mainstream media? Is people, you know, standing in their sovereignty where you are?
Well, in Canada, I feel like it's a bit of an uphill battle because for some, I've had the privilege. Um, to exercise my choice to live in a few different
Yeah.
countries. You know, I've lived in Switzerland,
Wow.
you know, the Caribbean, all and through North America. So I've been able to see how certain programming of the Canadian mindset is really holding Canadians back. And, you know, as I traveled, I always got told, oh, Canadians are so nice. And, you know, and then of course, I didn't realize how often I said sorry. And I know I've got that Canadian when I say sorry. And so many people would say, oh my gosh, you said that. Sorry, say it again. And I kept saying it. And it's only in the last few years I don't say that much anymore, but
Right.
that's because of my own healing, and I'm not
Yeah,
being
yeah.
apologetic for all of the things that I felt I
There
needed to
you
be
go.
apologetic for.
Good.
And I think that the Canadian mindset overall, not all Canadians of course, but in general, is kind of like a pushover.
Right.
And I remember like when I used to live there before I left to move down to the Cayman
Yeah.
Islands, that I remember we used to always make fun of Americans, you know, like, and how brash they are, and how they don't know about anything outside of their own country, and they think they're the best at everything. And,
Yeah.
you know, and but now that I've spent time here, you know, in the States, I've learn to see the fallacy of a lot of different mindsets. And I'm not saying that the Americans are all better in their thinking, but I'm
Yeah.
starting to see that, you know, the reason why a lot of Americans think they're number one is because they've truly got the best
Yeah.
options.
Yeah.
You know, like the best opportunities are truly in the States.
Yeah.
And I can see that now, but
Yeah.
you wouldn't have been able to see it from a perspective if you don't take some time and actually spend some time in the country. So Canadians are, I feel, definitely on the rise in a sense of awakening. I just feel like it's needing a lot to push them past their limits, because I think
Yeah.
they've allowed their limits to be far, far too high than they should have.
Yeah.
So it's like the empath and narcissist kind of relationship I feel like Canadians have with their own government. And it's like they just let them keep beating them down and beating and telling them,
Yeah.
like, this is the way, like, this is for your own good, or
Yeah.
basically telling you, like, you know, building you up and then stripping you down, and
Yeah.
building you up and then stripping you down, and telling you it's all for your best. And it's
Yeah.
just, I think though that people are starting to wake up. It's unfortunately an uphill battle because some of the rights have been given away that
Yeah.
haven't been given away in the States, much
Yeah.
like Australia. And
Same here, and I've tied it to almost, and it's great that you've mentioned that, because I would say that's the same here in Britain. You know, we're Commonwealth countries. You know, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Britain. You know, we've given away, you know, the gun rights. You know, regardless of what side of that fence you know you sit on, and various other things. And yeah, I can see that relatable to here as well. That there are passionate people here. They are much like Canada, but we gave away too much, you know, years ago. We did.
yeah, and I think it's too being too comfortable, but also giving away too much authority to an organization that people put way too much trust in.
Yeah.
And that's a result of not exercising your own authority and getting lazy. Unfortunately, there's no other nice way to say it. It's just
No.
laziness.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Canadian people are extremely kind people,
Yeah.
but it's almost now to the detriment when
Yeah.
your kindness is getting taken advantage used against you to play into
Yeah.
your insecurities about being a bad person. So all of a sudden, you know, you grow up with this mindset, I'm a good person. And all of a sudden you're being tested like, well, I don't want to be a bad person. And, you know, and so you're being pressured in all these ways to show up as a good citizen and for the betterment of all. And it's being
Yeah.
used against you and you don't even realize it. So
Yeah.
there's that kind of also being triggered through the psyche of a lot of Canadians. At least from my perspective and my opinion, that's what I see.
Yeah, I'd agree that's you could apply that to here as well, and I'm sure a lot of Australians would feel the same. You know, we have the division here because we're four nations into one. You know, we've got Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and England, and there was enough division here, you know, between nationalities, and then you've got this, so it's even further divided. And you know, we had a vote in 2014: should Scotland either be independent or not? We voted no. The majority did, which I'm sure I'll get some shit for. And then 2016 was the Brexit vote, you know, to split from the EU, which split us down even further.
Yeah.
And you know, and then the whole COVID thing. Now, you know, I've not once denied that there's a virus. You know, not once. I felt really unwell in November 2019. It was something that I would say was close to when I had bronchitis. But it's now divided even further, and you know, you're literally seeing people alone. You know, you're seeing people in one bedroom flats, you know, not been out for 9 months, not seeing another human being. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you tap into, you know, your channel and the people you interview and everybody else that we're connected with, and they start talking about ascension, they start talking about, you know, doing the shadow work, doing these things, it makes a hell of a sense why they kept us away from each other, why they wanted us 6 feet apart, that if you go into your heart space, how you can, you know, electric magnetic connect to each other. So if they didn't do what they did, you know, how far could we have awakened, from that? So that, to me, this was
Well,
designed to stop it.
yeah, and well, here's the thing too. Um, there's a lot of depression in the awakening journey.
It's a hell of a thing to go through.
There is a lot. And that's why I wanted to mention like the underground awakening. Do not get fooled by how it's appearing,
Yeah,
because there are already things in process
yeah,
that are happening below the surface, which happens for all of us when we're awakening.
yeah,
You know, there are things that are happening on the energetic level and in deep, deep, deep in our unconscious that we are still not yet aware of, and they're trying to make their way up to the surface of like consciousness. And so I think, it's been very well executed and well planned to some degree, in the sense
yeah,
of the plan of isolation has done a very good job
yeah,
of putting people into depression, which basically activates apathy. And
yeah,
when people are apathetic, they have no will to do anything. They don't want to do anything. They have no
yeah,
will, they have no motivation. And that is the mindset that you want of someone you want to control.
yeah. Why
So,
why didn't you run for a prime minister against Justin Trudeau? Because you're nailing this.
oh God, no. Politics is not my thing.
No, I mean
I
the
know a few
levels.
things, but I certainly don't know anything. I would not know how to
No,
run a
but
business. I mean, I think anyone could do a better job than Trudeau, but
but just one of the things that always surprised me, and it's great that I can actually say this to you live. I know you do your work. I know you're very intelligent, and you're always prepare well. But when you look at your videos, the way you talk, or like, see, even the ones you do from the car, like 5, 10, 15 minutes, even the one you did yesterday, you I it blows me away just where it all comes from, that knowledge base that you have. It's not like you're stopping, starting, looking at notes, this is what I want to say. You really do come from the soul, don't you?
yeah, but I want this to be understood. So
Good.
everyone who may be wanting to put themselves out in a bit of a more public way.
Yep.
When I first started, I had notes.
Yeah.
I first started my channel, I had notes on my screen that were beside me on the camera, and I just used them so that I wouldn't forget. And sometimes I still keep notes here just so I don't forget. It's more of like, for me, I just want to make sure I don't forget something,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
but you know, part of the insecurity of being able to speak your truth and be
Yeah.
heard and not be judged.
Yeah.
And at first, we all start judging ourselves. That's why we have such a hard time listening to our own voice.
Yeah.
And that's something though that you get over as you keep pushing through it, and you just keep going to the next, and you go into the next, and eventually through practice it becomes part of you. And that's what it's come for me.
Yeah.
I used to not be very good at public speaking in any regard whatsoever, and to any degree. It was
Yeah.
it was just like I was Bambi. I was a deer in headlights, like knees knocking, just sweating. My pits were probably just soaking wet. And I hated it. I was like, I just want to get this over with. But I had to move through it. And now I'm so glad. I had no idea that it would be this easy for me once I finally
Yeah.
got to that place, but it did not start off that way.
That's great though, because it should give people encouragement, that what they are feeling. I mean, I tried this kind of last year, and events transpired with losing my business and losing my gran and stuff like that, and then to come back to try and find my voice. But I sat with this for about, I don't know, 6 months, and went, how do I take the best of everybody that I subscribe to? How do I take the best of Tyler, Aaron, Nicole, Alara, Kate, uh, loyal to the foil, who's just incredible. So, but how do you make it your own? Because you don't want to just become, because you're not standing in your own truth. I went, well, you want to do it on a kind of ad hoc basis. I believe I'm the funniest guy on the planet, and I know I'm not, right? But I think I've got a sense of humour that might help. I thought, hey, I'll interview people, and I'll drink some juice, and I'll smoke a cigarette, and just try and keep people at ease, to say, look, if you can just talk and you get somebody like yourself that responds, you might be onto a wee winner there. So the feedback so far has been incredible, and from yourself. I won't share the messages, but the support in this community is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody just wants you to succeed, no matter who you are. And that should be said to everybody. You want to do it, you have got people in this community that will burst a gut for you, that will share your message, will share your videos, and be there to support. It's not just all about, the unselfishness is quite incredible at times, in the community.
You can when you've been doing this for a while, and I should say, and you're very tuned in to your own truth, your higher self, you
Yeah.
understand your own discernment, you start to get better and better at that. You know, you can sometimes sniff out the ones who are coming to you just because they want the the following,
Yeah.
and but they haven't done the work yet. They're trying to jump a few steps ahead.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that some people will like take off immediately and some people will have to work a little harder
Yeah.
to get there. I think that there are certain reasons why that happens for others, and not.
Yeah.
But there's been a couple of people who've asked me to come on their shows when they're just starting out, and I said I would be open to doing it, but I wanted them to get more experience under their
Yeah.
belt. And
Yeah.
but with you, RJ, I mean, you've been so kind to me, and
Oh, not
I've
at all.
seen you in the chats. You're so genuine, and I know that this is a big deal for you, putting yourself out
Yeah.
there. And I know you're not doing this to just
No.
have a big following at all. I know you're here in service. So
Yeah.
I'm always. It doesn't matter to me if you have zero
Yeah.
or more followers. It's just
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
about the intention. The intention
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah. I bless you for saying that. All you want to do is just, I, I, I get it to a degree, but it's never been about, kind of followers for me. And when you realise that if you can say something very truthful, and if it makes a difference in one person's life, people need to stop measuring even their spirituality, or so and so can remote view, or so and so's in touch with a higher self constantly. And you said it at the start, maybe you're exactly where you're meant to be right now, but we need to give ourselves breathing space as well. And I mean, if I can make somebody laugh, if I can make somebody heal, if I can make somebody, even reach out and say thank you, hey, I could, I can sleep happy. I can often live in other
RJ,
people's lives.
if you can bring some humor to this community, please do it, because humor is so needed right now. That
Yeah,
message has been coming through for about 6 months that we all
yeah,
need to lighten up. We all need to be a little bit more less taking things less seriously.
yeah,
It's been too serious, and laughter is one of the best medicines. I mean,
yeah,
cliche, but it is.
yeah. No,
Just
it's
it brings people together.
it does, and I like the dark sense of humor, but also like the light. I like sharing funny stories, even about myself. But you're right, especially lately, even something that's quite humorous, that's maybe dark. I've noticed some people getting triggered by that, even commenting on, oh well, look at his arms, that's not the way you bodybuild, and I was like, it's a made up video. You don't need to critique. It's meant to be funny. So
Oh, I know. I've had some people do that in my chats, and I'm just like, oh wow, this is just you oh, you know how they say to some this is gonna sound awful. I mean, I know you'll get it, and my viewers will
right.
be, oh, that's just Nicole. But it's like, when a woman is just so uptight, and it's likely because she just hasn't had sex in a really long time.
Yay!
Have a good romp, and just lighten up. And all of a sudden she's a new person. Like,
Yeah.
that's how I feel like watching people. Just need like that energy release that you can
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, and I think it's good for the planet as well that people are quite uptight, and they maybe just need a good humping. Do you know? Do you know what I mean? There's no people put
practice
too
that
much stigma on
Kundalini
it.
awakening. Yeah.
Yeah, stop taking shit too seriously. Just get in there and bang one out. You know.
Like, come on. I
Yeah.
mean, I can admit it. There have been times where like I'd gone out without it for quite some time. When I finally had it, I'm like, oh, that's just what I needed. I've been way too serious this whole time. I've been walking around like just, snappy and whatever. And that's all it was about. And so I feel just that is so needed right now,
Yeah.
for everyone in the world. Everyone in
Yes.
the world. It's just
Yes.
been
Yes.
too
Yes.
much focus on everything going wrong.
Yeah.
Too much focus on just, oh, everything's so serious.
Yeah. Oh, that was quite a. I'll give you that. That was kind of almost Joker-esque. Why so serious? I know your time's short, so I'll there's one last thing I want to ask you. Throughout all your videos, you kind of you vary it a lot, and I think that's why your audience really resonates with you. I know that's one of the reasons I do. It's not just set, even like, Tyler and Ireland and that as well. It's not just Secret Space Program. It's various other things. It's about how. Have you got any tips for, really connecting with, your higher self? Because to me, my higher self has a splendid sense of humour. He must do. Look at me, So I'm okay. Can you give any quick tips about somebody that's just awakened in the last year, and it's just COVID, lockdown, lockdown. What would you suggest to try and get them to connect with their higher self?
Well, stop connecting with COVID and everything that's related to it. It's designed to keep you disconnected
Yeah,
from your higher self.
yeah,
It's because you're constantly looking for information outside of you when your higher
yeah,
self is trying to give you information from within. So um, sometimes a digital detox is really good.
Ah,
Going one or two, maybe three, however long you can afford it to
yeah,
go those days without ever turning your phone on, without ever jumping on your computer.
yeah,
Uh, just pick up a book, be with yourself, go out in
yeah,
nature.
yeah,
Those digital detoxes are quite powerful. It
yeah,
feels really good initially, and then all of a sudden you start to realize how much of a distraction you need from yourself.
yeah,
And so, but by getting more comfortable with who you are and being able to uncover more of your own healing, you become closer and closer to your higher self because now you're not as fractal. Like you don't have all
yeah.
the lost parts of yourselves floating around. You're bringing everything kind of back home, which allows for a deeper connection, an easier connection. And I think you just got to give yourself space and time to listen. And that requires a lot of silence. It requires
Yeah.
a certain amount of peace and relaxation within your own body and your own mind. And there's not a lot of peace and relaxation out there, in the media. And
There's not. You're absolutely right.
so it's very difficult to connect in. And like, I got really pulled into it as we were coming up to last year's
Yeah.
election and, and even up until the inauguration of this year. And I had to take a step back because I realized, wow, this is just what have I allowed myself to get completely pulled into here?
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with staying informed, but I had allowed it to become almost like a soap opera in real time in my life where I just, what's going to happen next? What's the next scene? What's the next scene? And I was I was addicted to, the next potential drop that was
Yeah.
coming in, like whatever it
Yeah.
might be. And oh, that's how they get you. It's that carrot and
Yeah.
stick, and it's so like you need to eradicate the whole carrot and stick kind of
Yeah.
mentality and not be pulled in by anything other than what's pulling you from within. So that's kind of it.
That's yeah. No, that's incredible. Where can people find you? Do you want to give your website and your channel a shout out?
Yeah. So my website is my name, NicoleFrolick.com.
Yep.
And if you go there, you can pretty much find everything else you need. My YouTube channel is Nicole Frolick. I have
Yep.
a Telegram channel, an Instagram, which I use my Instagram and Telegram to kind of put out shorter messages,
Yeah.
things like that I wouldn't normally put in a longer video on YouTube. And and then my alchemy program is all you can also find that on my website on the homepage, which is a monthly subscription program for
Yeah.
anyone to join. We do a live call once a month, every second Sunday. And I go
Okay.
live with everyone. We look at the astrological alignments for the upcoming month. I talk about how they're going to be influencing your own journey, your own healing, your own shadow work, what's going to be coming up for you, how to navigate it. And then we also go into personal stories where people get to share and hear one another talk, which is really
Yeah.
important because it helps you realize you're not alone. And it also helps to be able to share that. And
Yeah.
then, of course, I do some lessons on certain things that'll help, techniques that'll help you. And we do also like a Q&A. So this is an opportunity. If you can't afford
Yeah. Yeah.
one-on-one coaching, because not everyone can, that's your
Yeah.
opportunity to ask
No, that's fine.
questions, and I'll answer them live in front of everyone. And so it's great. And so then there's, and we have a private Discord, a private Telegram channel that is strictly for people in the alchemy program. And it's very tight knit. Everyone is very supportive. And if you participate in it, you quickly see how much support you have. So
Yeah. That's incredible, Nicole. I can't thank you enough. This has been, to your humour. Again, it's something I always pick up on people. I don't know why. It's just, I've seen some of the stuff you post, and I'm saying I've got dark humour, but you're quite good at it yourself. So,
my higher self
if
has a sense of humor too. So
yeah, good. So if anybody's going to take anything away from this interview, go and have sex. Lots of it. Sign up to Nicole's stuff as well. um, so thank you so much.
Yeah, move
I'm
that root chakra energy.
and it counts if you do it yourself.
It counts if you do it yourself, but it's also great if you can have a partner who you feel comfortable with, of course.
Yes, of
But
course.
yeah, no, there's, like,
Yeah,
come on.
that's a nice sweet clarification at the end.
Yeah. Don't
I'll,
go be a Hunter Biden and, do all that stuff. That's not what I'm saying.
I've seen a whole new side to you now. A whole new side to you.
I've actually got a really dirty side. I don't show it that much, but sometimes it sneaks out,
Oh,
and
it's out now. It's out
yeah.
now.
I can't help it. It's just
Yeah,
one of those.
well, I'm going to take some credit for drawing it out of you. So if yeah, you can blame me.
Yeah. I like, I'm not gonna lie, I do get a bit of entertainment out of shocking people. Uh, it's kind of part of the fiery aspect of me. I've got like
Yeah,
three
yeah,
fire signs and in my astrological chart, and I just like to get people going sometimes. It's fun, like
yeah,
in of course good light,
yeah. Of course.
but yeah.
I think I'm too obvious, so I'm gonna try and draw back a bit and maybe get more kind of zen, and then come straight back in with the dirty stuff, and then draw back out again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the people in alchemy know about my dirty side more than the people who just because I'll throw in memes and I'll go make comments in there that people are
Yeah.
like, whoa, is this the same person? But yeah, so, but it's like with anything, the more comfortable you are with yourself
Yes.
and the people that you're
Yeah.
around, the more you allow to show. But yeah,
Yeah, that's
I'm,
a great shout. And when you're absolutely comfortable with these things, of course people will still try and attack you and use that against you, but because you've
oh, they
healed and
can
you're
try.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, I
because
don't
you're okay
care.
with that, absolutely.
I
It
just like
just
put everything out there,
bounces bounces
like,
back off, yeah.
yeah, I drank heavily through my 20s. I don't
Yeah.
hide any of that stuff. There
No,
isn't
no.
anything that I'm hiding, because I honor it.
Yeah.
I'm not in judgment of it. So if someone else is, can I
Yeah.
say something
Of
here
course.
before we go?
Of
This
course.
is really important because I think this will leave us on a high note.
Oh,
That
good.
when it comes to everything that we're kind of going through right now, we talk about personal power. When you're no longer in judgment of yourself, no one can have the power to make you feel insecure, can make you feel unworthy, can make you feel less than. But it also goes to, we can like take that, extrapolate it, and let's look at it from like the world stage and everything that's happening right
Yeah.
now. There are a lot of people that have been bought off and have sold their souls in various different ways
Yeah.
for comfort, for security,
Yeah.
for status, all different kinds of things, whether there are people in, like different industries like politics, finance, the medical industry,
Yeah.
or even the education system. We're starting to see how everything's been bought off for all of like,
Yep.
to push the mandates and everything. And people are scared and they're starting to, and this is why there's, okay, this is awesome that we're going to get into this. This is why there's an underground awakening,
Yeah.
because people are selling their souls and not even realizing it. They're making trade-offs that are
Yeah.
starting to feel uncomfortable with them inside.
Yeah.
But when you know that you can't be bought, it doesn't matter how much money someone
Yeah.
throws at you or how much power someone may throw at you and you don't bite.
Yeah.
That scares the living shit out of people in power, perceived power,
Yeah.
because you are experiencing something they have never been able to achieve. You have achieved a certain level of mastery that they have not yet been able to achieve. And that scares them because they don't understand it.
Jesus.
And so for everyone out there, just keep working on yourself, keep working on your honor. Okay. Stay true to who you are.
Yep.
Don't sell yourself. Know what your worth is. And your
Yep.
worth is beyond anything that would sell your freedoms, your sovereignty, your God-given rights.
Yeah.
And know that you scare the living shit out of the people who are trying to coerce you, through manipulate you, to buy you off in some sort of way, whether it's through your freedoms, your
Yeah.
security, your what it could be money, whatever it might be. And it's because you have achieved something they never will, most likely, or have not yet.
Jesus, Nicole, the hairs in the back of my neck are standing up. That was like a kind of, 3-4 minute speech. You felt the power, you felt the compassion, and, to throw in, I love a curse word, but boy, that landed. That absolutely landed. And, I never take, my biggest growth will be asking for help. Not for this, but I've dealt with so much on my own, I don't know how to ask for help. And but I know I need to get there. And I've got some really close friends who are tremendous, including yourself. But I always see it as I don't want to be a burden. Yeah, because that hurts me inside, thinking that I'm adding to somebody else's stuff that they're already dealing with. But I know deep down it's growth for me. I know I need to, it's not me being a burden, it's me growing. It's me being more aware to ask for help. And that's twice you've caught me out on this call that I didn't know I needed to hear something. And that's twice. Once at the start and now. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. There's a lot of stuff that we've packed in here, and I can't thank you enough. You're one of my, go-to people. Your wee short videos, the one yesterday, I love the title, Underground Awakening. You absolutely get it. Nicole Frolick for PM. It's only because I want a job.
Okay.
Right, for no other reason. So I know you need to go. Thank you so much. I'm so blessed to have this connection with you. Thank you for agreeing to do this. I'll give you a shout when I've edited and that, but thank you so much. You mean the world to me. Thank you
for having me on, and I'm proud of you for starting
Thank
this.
you.
And we'll send a lot of people your way to support you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you. Bye.